My son, the one I protected, is a criminal. His sister, the one I failed, is facing ruin because of his crime. This is not a story about sibling rivalry. It's about a mother's final, impossible judgment. For 30 years, I balanced the books of this family. I see every number, every transaction, every lie. In my left hand, I hold a single piece of paper, the proof that will send my son to prison but exonerate my daughter completely. In my right hand, I hold my silence, a choice that will protect him but condemn her to a life she does not deserve. His future or hers. I have to decide, and I need you to tell me what to do. The letter that started all of this arrived 3 weeks ago. It wasn't addressed to me, but to my daughter, Clara. It was from a collections agency referencing a defaulted business loan for $75,000. I know it was a mistake. Clara is an artist. She teaches pottery to children at the community center. The largest loan she's ever taken out was for a used kiln, and she paid it off in a year. When she called me hysterical, I told her it was just a clerical error, a case of mistaken identity. But then a second letter came. This one from a law firm initiating foreclosure proceedings on her small studio, the studio I helped her buy. That's when I opened the books. My son Mark has always been the golden one, the ambitious one, the one who built a successful consulting firm from the ground up, or so I thought. He was the one I was proud of. Clara was the one I worried about. Too soft, too trusting, especially of her older brother. I see the pattern now so clearly. It didn't start last year. It started when they were children. I remember Mark, at 12, breaking a neighbor's window with a baseball. He came to me in tears, terrified of the consequences, and I, wanting to protect my brilliant boy from any blemish, told him to let Clara take the blame. She was only 8. She wouldn't get in as much trouble, I reasoned. And she did it. She stood before our neighbor, her small face streaked with tears she didn't understand, and apologized for something she didn't do. Mark watched from the porch, silent. He learned a lesson that day, not about accountability, but about the value of a shield. His sister had become his shield. Years later, when Clara was in college, she had saved nearly $10,000 from her part-time job for a semester abroad. Mark's first business venture was failing. He came to me, panicked. He needed a short-term loan just to cover payroll. He'd pay it back in a month, he swore. He just didn't want to damage his credit. I suggested he ask Clara. It would be a good lesson in financial responsibility for her to see how investments work. And like a fool, I agreed. I watched as he convinced her with his easy charm and promises of a handsome return. She gave him everything. He never paid her back. When I confronted him, he just smiled that disarming smile. It was a bad investment, Mom. That's business. She'll learn. He had reframed his theft as her tuition. And now, this. The $75,000 loan. I spent a week digging, using the skills I honed over a lifetime of auditing books that were meant to deceive. The loan was taken out using a shell corporation. The articles of incorporation listed a single director, Clara Evans, but the address was a P.O. box Mark has used for years. The bank statement showed the funds were immediately transferred to his firm's account and used to cover his own spiraling debts. He forged her signature. He used her spotless credit, her good name, as a key to unlock the money he needed. And when the business failed, as all his ventures seemed to do, he simply walked away, leaving the wreckage for her sister to navigate, leaving her to face the consequences of a crime she didn't even know had been committed in her name. This is the case for his destruction. A lifetime of manipulation, of using his sister's innocence as a resource to be exploited. He believes he is untouchable. He believes I will always choose to protect my son.
But the choice is not that simple. Because the woman who will pay the steepest price for Mark's downfall is his wife, Amelia. And Amelia is the daughter I never had. She came into our lives 10 years ago, a whirlwind of warmth and genuine kindness that seemed to melt the cynicism that had started to form around my heart. She is a pediatrician. Her life is dedicated to mending small, broken things. And she loves my son with a fierce, almost blind loyalty that I now see as both her greatest strength and her most profound vulnerability. I remember the first time she came to our home for dinner. She didn't bring an expensive bottle of wine or a fancy dessert. She brought a small hand-painted pot with a single struggling basil plant. "I know you like to cook with fresh herbs," she had said, her cheeks flushed with a shy smile. "I'm not much of a gardener, but I thought we could try to grow it together." And we did. That basil plant still sits on my kitchen windowsill, thriving under our shared care. It was such a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. It was thoughtful. It was personal. It was a gesture of us, not just a gesture for Mark. She doesn't know about any of it. Not the forged loan, not the failing business, not the calculated betrayal of his own sister. Mark has constructed a flawless facade of success, and Amelia is its most devoted believer. She is pregnant, 6 months along, with the son they plan to name after my late husband. She glows with a happiness so pure it's painful to witness, because I know it is built on a foundation of lies. If I expose Mark, I don't just send him to prison. I detonate a bomb in the middle of Amelia's life. I shatter her trust, not just in her husband, but in the very fabric of the world she believes she inhabits. I force her to raise her child alone, to associate the name of her son's father with shame and criminality. Her dream, this beautiful, fragile dream of a family she is so close to realizing, will turn to ash. How can I do that to her? And then there is Mark himself. It would be so much easier if he were a monster. But he is not. He is my son. I remember when he was 6, he found a baby bird that had fallen from its nest. For 3 days, he was its devoted caretaker, feeding it with an eyedropper, keeping it warm in a shoebox lined with his own softest socks. The bird didn't make it. I found Mark in the backyard, holding the tiny, still body in his hands, crying with a grief so profound it seemed too large for his small frame. "I tried to save it, Mom," he'd sobbed. "I really tried." That boy, the one with the tender heart who cried for a fallen bird, is still in there somewhere, buried under layers of ambition and fear and a desperate need for an approval he has never felt he's earned. He is not evil. He's just weak. He takes shortcuts. He uses people, not out of malice, but out of a misguided belief that the ends justify the means. He lies to protect an image of himself that he thinks the world, that he thinks I demand. He is still that little boy, terrified of failure, terrified of not being enough. And so I am trapped. It is my duty as a matriarch to protect the family. But what is the family? Is it the institution, the name, the legacy? Or is it the individuals within it, each with their own vulnerabilities, their own truths? Do I sacrifice the innocent to protect the guilty, all in the name of preserving a facade? Or do I uphold a colder, harsher form of justice, one that saves the victim but destroys the perpetrator, and in doing so shatters the lives of everyone caught in the crossfire? This is the burden of mercy. A mercy for Mark is a life sentence for Clara, but a just reckoning for him means an unbearable grief for Amelia. And I am the one who must choose.
If I choose the path of ruin, I will walk into the district attorney's office tomorrow morning. I will lay the contents of this folder on his desk, the forged loan application, the bank statements showing the flow of money, the digital trail that leads irrefutably from Clara's stolen identity to Mark's failing business. An indictment will be swift. There will be a trial, but the outcome is not in doubt. Mark will be convicted of felony fraud. He will serve time in prison. His career, the one he built on a foundation of sand and secrets, will be over. His name, our family name, will be dragged through the mud, a story for the local news. Amelia will be forced to face the truth in the most brutal and public way possible. She will become the wife of a convicted felon, her future and the future of her unborn child rewritten overnight. Clara will be exonerated. The foreclosure on her studio will be halted. Her name will be cleared. But she will have to live with the knowledge that her freedom came at the cost of her brothers. She will be saved, but the family, as we know it, will be utterly destroyed. If I choose the path of mercy, I will take this folder and burn its contents in my fireplace until nothing remains but ash. I will call my attorney and use my own savings, the money I had set aside for my own old age, to anonymously pay off the $75,000 loan. The collections agency will close its case. The foreclosure on Clara's studio will be canceled. She will believe it was all just a terrible, inexplicable mistake, an error in the system that somehow corrected itself. She will be safe, her innocence preserved, not just legally, but emotionally. Mark will never have to face the consequences of his actions. He will continue to build his life on a throne of lies, his secret safe with me. Amelia will deliver her son into a world she believes is secure, never knowing the rot at its core. The family will remain intact, a beautiful, perfect-looking vessel with a catastrophic hole hidden just below the waterline, waiting for the next storm. I will have chosen peace over justice. I will have chosen my son over my daughter. And I will have to live with the silence of that choice for the rest of my life. So these are my paths. Justice that burns everything to the ground, or mercy that allows a poison to fester in the heart of my family. The truth that will destroy my son, or the lie that will condemn my daughter to a lifetime of unacknowledged victimhood. Both choices are betrayal. Both are a form of ruin. Tell me, in the comments, which path do I choose? What would you do?